I'm going to ask the doctors have been pretty interested in. CBD, is it an accepted foundation for clinical research as you see from your view?
Sure, CBD, absolutely. CBD's basically been studied a lot over the last, let's start that again. CBD has been the focus of probably 250 to 300 research papers in just the last 24 months. And it's being studied for all kinds of different uses, whether you're talking about its antioxidant properties, its anti-inflammatory, antispasmodic, potentially anti-tumor. When you say anti-tumor uses, it's a very, very, people think of cancer as one disease, when in fact cancer is hundreds of different diseases. And the truth is CBD is probably useful in the treatment of some of those diseases. All of them, no. None of them, no. Some of them, absolutely, without question.
Great. Let's continue further here. Are there independent studies being conducted in the present in the Southland? Or is it all focused in the regular National Institutes of Health?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is that there are studies being conducted in California, in Southern California, but not randomized clinical trials yet. And the thing is that the laws against conducting cannabis research are pretty onerous in the United States.
Yeah.
So typically, because you've got to get access to NIDA cannabis to do it, and that NIDA currently does not provide a high CBD cannabis variety to study, it makes it a little difficult. Now, that's not that the United States government, through its program at the University of Mississippi, does not grow this cannabis. It's just not providing access to it. That'll change. I think that the wide range of cannabis that's being cultivated by Dr. El Soli and his colleagues at the University of Mississippi could be of great interest from the standpoint of conducting research studies, just not being done yet.
Yeah, that's a basically expected at the point, because as we had an earlier discussion, that the terminology that's used carries a cloud over it, and it's endemic amongst generations.
Well, you got to understand, high CBD cannabis with no THC is not called marijuana.
No, it isn't.
It's called hemp. And the thing about it is that unfortunately, hemp has been hit with the same stigma just because their leaf morphology. The leaf morphology of the hemp plant is identical to the leaf morphology of the marijuana plant. Drug cannabis and fiber cannabis are two essentially different plants from a chemical standpoint. They may look very similarly. They may have similar chemical precursors within them, but a group of enzymes determines whether the plant produces THC or whether the plant produces CBD. And the plants that produce primarily and exclusively CBD have no psychoactivity and do not produce any of the adverse effects that are associated with THC. And so the idea of limiting access from a research perspective to high CBD cannabis is criminal.
Yes, it is. Definitely it is. It's anything that's beneficial to humanity should be turned around and researched, evaluated, and applied, because all of these are gifts to us, and we must learn to use them well and not to ignore their potential benefits that they can provide.
But also, it's just third-rate science.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is
yes.
the thing about science is that you got to be willing to take your lumps. So you've got to, subject whatever you think might work to randomized controlled trials with placebo, so that we can actually see whether something has efficacy or not. If it doesn't, then we discard it and move on. But if we occasionally get lucky, we can find compounds of great medicinal interest, and there probably are some in the cannabis plant.
It's wonderful. Right now, there is no statistical information at this point that's accessible. In other words, for individuals like myself who look at actuarial tables for use for demographics and other studies, that we can look at and say, is there a demand amongst patients that CBD can serve? In other words, is it a significant portion, or is it something that can be provided to patients in an over-the-counter remedy form.
Well, it is. I mean, the thing is Dixie Elixirs out of Colorado is already shipping high CBD tinctures around the United States under a loophole in federal law. The Drug Enforcement Administration attempted to put in a new rule that would have specifically scheduled cannabidiol, CBD, under the schedules, because currently they're not. Cannabidiol is not specifically mentioned. They have a broad category under their current rules that talks about tetrahydrocannabinol. They don't mention cannabidiol, and therefore there's a little bit of a loophole. And they're trying to close that. And a letter was sent by Alice Mead, who's the former general counsel for the California Medical Association and is now the chief medical counsel for GW Pharmaceuticals, general counsel for GW Pharmaceuticals in the United States, protesting that potential rule change because the Sativex product that's made by GW Pharmaceuticals, that's a tincture, effectively, a mouth spray made of THC and CBD, is currently undergoing its FDA regulatory trials.
All right, so it's a
and that would have
process.
potentially impacted that.
Right.
And so what happened is DEA backed off. Now, tomorrow,
Could
with the
change.
signature, they could make CBD Schedule 1.
Yeah, easily.
But because it's not, Dixie feels emboldened to ship cannabidiol in elixir form across state lines. And they're currently doing it.
Well, that's great.
And they say they're going to get into Whole Foods. We'll see.
Well, that seems to be a great remedy, but with that, again, potential litigation or legislation that could affect it is always that hammer that goes above it. Under the protection of research, it would allow the investigation and research and study of these beneficial products. Is there anything you could tell patients themselves, in other words, who are interested in this subject, that what they could do to turn around and to help foster a movement or to make an awareness amongst their own representatives or friends and family of themselves?
The one thing that politicians hate to see in their office are genuinely sick constituents.
Right,
Because sick constituents can get press.
right.
And though if you want to change a law and you're seriously ill and want access to a medicine to which you currently do not have access because of the law, write your congressman. But even better, go visit their office. They always come home from Washington during the breaks. Go see them and hang out until you do get to see them, and you'll make a difference. It really, really has an impact. All right? Nothing has an impact. More than a letter, more than an email, more than anything. Show
Show up.
up. That's
Good
it.
advice. Good advice. Well,